Hey guys, welcome to Indian Digital Nomads. Today we have with us Kaushal. Kaushal, if you don't know, is one of the OG digital nomad, community builder, no code maker, travel blogger, product guy, UI UX designer, a polyworker in true sense. Kaushal and I have been living a digital nomad life before the hashtag digital nomad life. Kaushal, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Saurav. Great to be a part of this, man. Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more that we've been part of this whole community before it became cool to be a digital nomad. So looking forward to this session.
Great. We will be discussing about how was it to nomad around without smartphone, how nomad life enables you to become a polyworker, how nomads refuse to stick to one identity, how to build communities, secret of generating passive income through content creation, building product using no-code tools, and much more. So there is so much to talk about with human, but I had to cap it to just 10 questions. I'm sure that we can go on and on talking about all the things that we are passionate about.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, if you and I have to sit down in the session, we could go on and on if there is no time limit.
Great. Let's get started with how was it to nomad around without smartphone? What are
Oh,
some of your
wow.
coolest memories?
I think you know the answer to that. Is it's basically the trip that literally changed the fabric of my personality. It changed who I was and it shaped me into who I am. Uh, it's the South America trip, and that was in 2008. So, so in 2007, I had done 4 trips to Goa, and that is where I started realizing that I really like to be in one place for a long time. It's not like because you're a nomad. Firstly, people have this concept that nomads are basically people who are constantly moving, like constantly. Yes, that's the definition of the term nomad, but that doesn't mean you have to always keep moving. The idea is that you're moving from time to time. So back then, because I realized I was going back to the same place, I firstly realized, and I, and now it's this whole thing is called slow travel, right? So uh, so back then, I mean, when you only had like a Lonely Planet not magazine, Lonely Planet book, guidebook, I had like this big fat book, the Lonely Planet book for South America, and that was my first sort of gateway into the world of being a nomad or being firstly a backpacker, right? And that was a trip which was supposed to be 40 days, which turned into a 6 month long trip, which changed everything for me. And when you did not have phones, yes, I did have a phone at that time, but it was basically one of those small little devices which have no data. You are only doing text conversations on that, right? So you're only doing SMS. You have no maps, nothing. So I personally, if you ask me, I cherished that time. And I think folks like you and me are the lucky ones because we were the enabled ones, we were the digital enabled ones, but we were not the digitally consumed ones. You know what I mean? That we were not victims of our own devices, so to say. That you are not always on your phone all the time. You're not snapping every picture and video and putting up everything on the stories all the time. So we got to live the moment more than what we do now. Now, when I have the phone, I mean, I think now I am definitely a victim of my device, right? Just like the rest of us, just like the rest of even Gen Z for that matter. So it was an amazing time,
Yeah,
and that time is never coming
right.
back. Not while we have phones around.
Exactly. I think now it's a challenge to escape the black mirror. It's not so easy, and I think Gen Z probably they won't be able to understand how was it to travel without maps and travel without apps, the all
Yeah,
the travel
actually
apps that.
asking human beings, like, why would you do that?
Yeah, but you rightly said it's something that we cherish the most because we know that
Yeah, man.
we have
Yeah.
been lucky to be in that
We could be
era.
a little more spontaneous for that matter. Like there have been times when I was like, okay, because you didn't have any assistance of a smartphone which could tell you that, oh, if you want to go from point A to point B, this is how you do it. Without that, you could be a little more spontaneous. You could decide, oh, I want to stay tonight, I want to stay in this hotel. Right? You have no choice because you look around, you walk around, and you see that this is the hostel I want to stay in, and that's it. So spontaneity has also been a little, it's been compromised by smartphones.
Yeah, there
But
was
but
way
but
more
I don't
room
hate
for
smartphones.
serendipity.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. There was more room for serendipity, but I'm saying I don't hate smartphones. They have definitely enabled us in different ways as well. So yeah, that's my
All
take
right,
on it.
great. Let's discuss about the whole concept of polywork, because I see that you have had several identities since you started, right? So,
Yeah,
why do you think that polywork is getting traction, especially those who have been living and working remotely? They have been working into all different things. Like their identity is not confined by just one work they do, but they are polyworker in true sense.
yeah.
So why do you think that it's getting traction?
I think that's a great observation because I have never thought of it that way. That, the people who are the travelers, the nomads, are the ones who are the hyphenates or the the polyworkers or polymaths for that matter. I think it comes from people wanting to think about. It's like Marvel would put it. What if you pondered the question, what if, right? Basically, nomads and travelers are the folks who are always thinking about what if my life was not like this? What if it was something else? What if my career was not what I chose, but something else? What if I experiment with doing different things and figure out what else I can do as work? And what else could I find joy doing? So I think it comes from that uh, human aspiration to try and expand the horizons of what we call work.
Great, yeah. So rightly put. I feel like just like as a nomad, we try to have new experiences and go to new places. The same way we get curious about new identities and what if I
Yeah,
try that? So
exactly.
I see that that could be the relation. Would you like to talk about your journey a bit, like how you started as I'm guessing you started as a design guy and then
Yes.
you pivoted into several things. How was your journey?
So, I think like Steve Jobs puts it, you start connecting the dots much later in life, and that's how it's happened for me. From a young age, I've actually been a not a poly worker, but a polymath from a really young age. So, and all credits for that goes to my mom because she's always encouraged me since I was a kid to do multiple things, in life. She would encourage me to learn a new language, to take up classes which were totally different from each other. So one could be about, it could be enrolling me into a sports class or gymnastics for that matter, to doing different languages, art, uh, learning about even the not the Vedas, but I have done like Sanskrit and things like that. So I think all of that has had shaped my own personality. So that part is what I attribute being a polymath to. And I was also building communities from a very very young age. I realized that much later. I don't talk about it, but even when I was in school, I would run something called the Action Club, and the idea was, can we take action on the things that matter around us? Can we plant more trees? And we would actually do that. Can we do, even the things that are happening right now? That we are currently in the midst of celebrating the festival of Ganeshotsav. That is forming a community, right? So we've been creating communities and forming them in the physical space way long back, and all that starts adding up into shaping your personality, right? So that's really been the journey, and yeah, that's how I would put it in terms of how the whole polymath thing has started. But can we go back to your question? Now I lost sense of the question itself, and I can't see your face, so my visual cue has also gone.
Oh no, I just wanted to. Sure, no problem. So the question was just about your journey, like what you started as, and
Right, yeah,
how
yeah.
one
So
thing
yeah,
led to another.
absolutely. So like I said, that laid the foundations of what I would eventually call work. And yes, in terms of career, my first job was being a designer, and that still continues even after 2 decades of working. I am still a designer, but that's not the only thing I am.
Great, awesome. Also, when we discuss about polywork, I would like to know your opinion on how when you say work, the meaning of work has changed. Like how earlier it used to be about work was a means of material production, but now work is a means of identity production. So work is an expression of who
Yeah.
we are. So that is leading to workism. So what is happening is that, I mean, earlier it used to be about, like, okay, when you are working, you are just doing something to earn money, but now
Hmm.
you end up working way more than working for the money, because you're working for your own identity. You work to be accepted into certain communities. You work to be accepted as being part of certain identities, right? So do you think that this is
Yeah.
leading to overwork and people are compromising on their leisure time, and the work life balance is getting compromised?
Hmm. I mean, that's, I don't know if I'm the right person to answer that question, the latter half of it. But when it comes to people wanting to or moving towards how do I say this? Uh, the identity shift has happened from working for as a means to an end, and then turning that into who you really are. I think all that is what forms the ikigai matrix, right? Is basically figuring out what kind of work you can do, what you're good at, what the world needs, and it's basically a matrix of uh, uh, and I think it's also what makes you money. I don't know what the other thing is. What society needs, what you're good at, and what makes you money. Basically, an amalgamation of all of that, and eventually, you start or you try to do work which can be more of these things. You initially start off with what you're good at and what can make you money, but you also start, yeah, if you relate this to something like a Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you basically start off with your basics, and then you go up the hierarchy and you try to do work or things which are more fulfilling and which can help society at a large, right? I think that's my take on that. And for the latter part, whether all of that is consuming us or taking over our work-life balance or imbalance, creating an imbalance there, like I said, I'm perhaps the worst person to talk about that because um, I'm someone who loves doing what I do, right? So pretty much all of my work is things that I would do even if I was not paid to do that. So I don't know if that hampers your work-life balance because to me, all work is play.
Right. Yeah. So that's what I mean. I think we are sold this whole concept of, if you love what you're doing, then you are not working for a single day in your life. I know that it's
Exactly.
not an easy question to answer, for me and for anyone, but I just wanted to just dive into it and know your opinion. I mean, it's difficult to say whether it's right or wrong, but yes, it's definitely something that we should be thinking about. Like, just by making work so cool and making work like, okay, if you love it, then you're not working. Are we
Yeah.
kind of not giving ourselves enough free time? The way, because we have seen how the work was back in 90s, and in 2011, without smartphone,
Yeah.
and when
Yeah.
work was very much separated from life and play, isn't it? But now there are no boundaries.
I get what you're saying. So now that, especially if you're a creator or a vlogger, right? Every little thing that you do can become work, and that can become. I think you have to take a step back there and ask yourself, am I burning myself out? Am I doing this because I'm loving doing this, or am I doing this because people are expecting me to do this, and I need to keep delivering on that? That is the challenge of being a public-facing person, where you are always constantly putting yourself or your face in front of the camera and talking to people all the time as a vlogger. I think being a vlogger is one of the toughest things you can do uh, because it's very demanding. You have to always be out there. But that's just one example. I think you always need to take a step back. So what I use for myself is I always have a vision board which reminds me of the big picture, and it keeps telling me, so I have pretty much all of my life laid out on two sheets of paper, which is basically about things I want to do, where I want to do them, why I want to do them, and how I want to do them, right? So when I look at that big picture time and again every day, it helps me disconnect and reconnect with the right elements and figure out, am I too deep into something? Do I need to focus on other aspects of my life? And that's something I would highly encourage everyone to do, is have this kind of, I'm not saying create a vision board, I'm a designer so I can make that, but you can have it textually and just write down all these aspects of your life, and try to balance them as much as possible.
Sure, I'm so glad that you brought this up because I see that for digital nomads and creators, especially those who are just on their own, working for themselves, it's super important to have that mental model. Without that, they can't be disciplined, they can't be uh, focused toward what exactly they're trying to accomplish. And what happens, I see, is
Exactly.
that most of the digital nomads and creators, they're performers, and they if they are not focused towards the bigger vision, they end up being driven by the vanity numbers like likes and
Yeah,
followers, etc.
yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah. It affects all of us. I mean, even I would keep checking and tracking. As much as I would say that, it's not important how many followers I have. The moment I'm looking at my screen and I'm like, oh, you're almost at 6K followers on Instagram, it's definitely, it's got to do something with your psychology, right? You look at those numbers and you're like, okay, I'm almost there. I'm towards 6K. I'm towards whatever K, and it can be very, very, how do I say, again, consuming.
Great. Would you like to talk about a bit about you mentioned that you are building a edutech platform, so would you like to share what is it about?
Yes. So that's a project I'm currently working on. So it's called Jigserve, jigserv.com. It's in beta. So if you go check it out, it may break once in a while. But the idea there is basically to have a community of people who are continuous learners, folks who are looking at or evaluating. Currently, it is only catering to higher education courses, which are from accredited institutions and universities. But eventually, it will have more programs which will not be only university led. Even you could possibly launch your own program there. So the idea there is basically have a platform uh, which is a place and a community for folks who love learning. So on one side there are courses, and on the other side there is a community that is curating interesting. So think of it as I'm just trying to make it as easy as possible. Think of it as the Pinterest for learners, where you can create, collate, and consume content that is all about learning. So yeah, it's I would say it's a mix of Skillshare
Okay, and these
and
courses are
Pinterest. Sorry, yeah.
okay. No, no. I was just curious if these courses are one to many course or it's a cohort based course.
These are a mix. So we have different ones. So currently there is no one to many. These are all cohort based, but eventually we have. So there are currently categories, and there will be live online. There is going to be in person, hybrid. So all sorts of models. So currently these are cohort based, the ones which are currently online.
That's great. So much looking forward to. Is it live for anyone to go check it out and
It
use it?
is it is live, yes, yes. But like I said, currently it only has the university one. So you will find like IIM, ISB, such kind of organizations online, such kind of universities.
Mhm. All right. Okay, just a minute. Great, Kaushal.
Okay,
That
ready when you are.
sounds very exciting, and I'm gonna go check it out. So yeah, thanks for sharing about that. Also, I noticed that you recently built a community of communities, right? Would you like to share about what exactly is the Tribe Garden?
Sure. So it's currently, well, the vision is to become the community of communities. Currently, it is not. Currently, what it is it's a consultancy for companies or for influencers to grow their tribe. And the whole idea is basically that I've been doing and growing communities for the last, I don't know, over 15 years for sure, uh, in my own personal uh, record, right? So it's not been something that I've done in a very structured way. It's something which I've loved passionately doing. And so now I'm putting a structure to it, and turning that into something which I can help businesses with, where and this is again come from folks actually asking, can you help us with this? Can you help us with that? And suddenly, while I was doing that in the last 1 year, it's become hot. Communities have become hot. I don't know how it happened, but that's how things are going right now, which is great. Um, so the vision behind Tribe Garden is to have a place where you can discover communities, different types of communities. It's also a consultancy where you can, if you're a brand that is looking to create their user base right from creation, so your first 100 users or your first 1,000 users, all the way to growing that fan base, uh, or it could be something for an influencer, right? Who is trying to, or somebody who's, oh, I wouldn't say wannabe influencer, but somebody who's starting out and saying, how do I build my community? There are a lot of people who are producing great content, uh, but they don't, you know, they are not great at the community aspect of things, and that's where Tribe Garden can come in and help them grow their business or grow their audience or grow their fan base, what I call tribe. So yeah, that's what it's all about. As of now, that's what it is, and I have a lot of plans for it. But currently, what you see live is just the consultancy part of it, which is to me 33% of what I envision. So hopefully,
Okay, so it's a
like we were
community as a
discussing
service.
offline, it is a community as a service at the moment, but it will also be a directory of sorts of just coming and discovering. So the community, the discovery part is just because I'm a fan of communities, and I don't see a place where you can discover communities in general. So that's going to be almost like a Yahoo of, for lack of a better example, because Yahoo started off as a directory, right? It's going to be like the Yahoo of communities, one part of it. Yeah.
So community as a service is what product folks are looking at. So see, what has happened
Hmm.
is, in the last few years we noticed how building product has been commoditized, it has been democratized.
Yes.
Now it's easy for anyone to build a product using no code tools. What is the
Hmm.
real challenge right now is to distribute the product, to market the product. And communities is how you
Absolutely.
market the product. So that's the reason why communities are cool. There are so many makers, they are struggling to bring their product to life just because they have no idea about how to plug it in the community, how to build the distribution network. So I do see that in coming years, community is gonna be extremely hot. People would like to offer community as a service. Community is
Hmm.
something uh, that can be built only organically, right? It's the
Absolutely.
organic growth
You
that
can't fake it.
actually leads to the attraction. Yeah.
And
So
when you get it
that's
right, when
where
you
I
get
mean,
community right, sorry, I was interrupting you.
yeah,
What were you
yeah.
saying?
So all
When
I'm,
that's
yeah, what I was saying is that's where I see the most value is being created, because again, there are so many amazing products which don't even see the light of the day because they don't have the distribution network. So I do see that the
exactly,
community folks
exactly,
will have a big role to play.
100%. And it's also the right, like the whole theory about the first 1,000 users. I completely believe in that. That currently what happens is a lot of companies focus on growth, on rampant growth, which is not authentic, right? If there is no authenticity in your first 1,000 users, that's going to trickle down in the rest of your community. Then it will no longer be a community. It's just going to be a set of users who you acquired using strategies for user acquisition. Now that can be through referrals, that can be through cashbacks, that can be through discounts or whatever you use to acquire those users. So user acquisition has now become easy, but the community aspect is something which can bring authenticity to that user base, or that to in the sense really have passionate folks who believe or love your product or service, which is why it's going to matter a lot.
Right. Yeah, especially what I see is that the intersection of crypto creator economy and community is something extremely hot. Now we are seeing with the NFTs as well how with every week I'm
Yeah,
seeing a new craze for a new NFT, and how
yeah.
it's the community through which it is driven. Like lots of people, they get to it's like the Board Ape Yacht Club was there, and all those things. So it's all the community which is driving all these new
It
NFTs,
is, it
etc. So
is.
I
In
do
fact,
see
for every
that space is
non-believer,
very.
totally, man. I mean, the NFT space and the crypto space is so such a tremendously growing community that for every non-believer in NFTs or crypto, I see a 2x or 4x of that in this space in that community. It's definitely driving that space a
Mhm.
lot.
Great, awesome. So much
Your
looking
screen has
forward
again
to
gone
see how this
blank for
tribe.
me, but that's okay. Sorry,
Yeah,
you were
so
saying.
much looking forward to see
I
how
lost
this.
your screen.
No problem. Yeah. So yeah, what I was saying is that I'm so much looking forward to see how this tribe garden shapes up, because I see that how it is so relevant, and I know so many product folks, they will be needing, uh, community as a service. They would need that
Yeah,
to build the
yeah,
distribution.
yeah. I hope so.
All right. Yeah, let's talk about content creation. As a traveler, you have been creating content, and you have been seeing how this content creation changed over time. Like earlier, again, it was
Hmm.
about monetizing using platforms like YouTube, where you would be earning through ads. But now, what has happened is that with the rise of creator economy, that has been democratized as well, and now creators are making money just by putting their content behind a paywall. So there is no middleman. So it's like direct monetization is happening using platforms like Buy Me a Coffee or Patreon or OnlyFans, etc.
Yeah,
So with with this change, we are seeing that there are so many creators who are making good amount of money just by putting quality content.
yeah,
What are, and you have been doing it from a long time. You have been creating content both in the written form as well as the video form. I would like to know from you, what are some tips and some secrets that maybe not many people would know about monetizing content.
okay. Once again, as much as people would love to believe, I'm going to be honest here and be upfront about this. That I'm not the best person to advise people on this. I do know what can work, but these are things that I have not done myself. And the reason I say this is because, and this has been a conscious choice, right? For me, my design career and my design work has always been paramount for me. That's been 90% of my income, and I intend to keep it that way. At any point in time, I do not want my travel content creation work to be more than 10% of my aggregate income, basically. Uh, of course, that can grow by itself, but the reason I don't want that to grow more than 10% is it's a conscious choice. I'm not saying everybody should do that. There are people who are doing that part as 100% of what they are or as their career. And the reason is because it is too important for me. I don't, I now say I'm a content creator because people identify and understand what a content creator is. But in a sense, I know who I am, and I have done these things, and I'm a blogger not because being a blogger pays you or it's a great career choice, but it's because I have loved sharing those stories and enjoyed doing this. So my sustenance on that is actually my design yeah, income. So it's not so much from my content creation. It's not something that I monetize as effectively as I could, and that's a conscious choice, like I keep saying, because I don't want to turn my entire career into a content creation career. It's just a conscious choice. Yeah.
So, Kaushal, I totally understand that content creation has not been the main source of income for you, but I would like to
Mhm.
dig into the second degree of effect of content creation, because I feel like content creation increases your luck surface area, and it also leads to discoveries. So, would you like to share about that? How creating content has led to opportunities for you?
Oh, absolutely, man. I love that word, luck surface area. I've never heard that before for sure. So I'm going to make a mental note of that. I mean, it's what I would call basically increasing your chances of serendipity, right? What you mentioned earlier. So absolutely. I mean, the more you're distributing yourself and the more you're putting yourself out there in different formats, uh, your discoverability is going to go up, and which is exactly why the chances of you being discovered, the chances of you getting new opportunities, is going to grow way more than that, right? That again applies to anyone. It doesn't have to be a content creator only. It also applies to any sort of business. The more you are discoverable, the more you have opportunities in your life. Uh, were you talking about
Great.
specific examples, or you were just
Yeah,
discussing
if you
this
can share
because?
some examples, that would be great. Like how you got discovered just through your content.
So quite a lot, man, quite a lot. I mean, there are things, like I said, because it's something which I have never looked at as a primary income source. I have never looked at it. Well, at least 5 years ago, I never looked at my content creation or my travel blog as something which was a serious business that I was doing. It was something which I was doing passionately as a side hustle. Not even, I wouldn't even call it a side hustle. It was more of a side gig, a side thing I was doing just because I love doing it. And then, I would start getting these opportunities where tourism boards would start reaching out to me saying that, hey, we would love to invite you over to Germany, to Jordan, to Australia. And I was like, what? These are things which I never expected or even wished for. I mean, maybe in the back of my mind. But I honestly, and I'm not being naive here. I genuinely did not know that these things existed, at least back then. Today, it's become so common, but back then, I didn't expect or know that tourism boards invite you over and you could go and travel to places because you're a blogger and because you have a certain say, or you're an SME, you're a subject matter expert in that space. So that was amazing. It helps you in so many different ways to just connect with people, because there have been instances where if I have gone for a specific project, whether it was my design project or something else, and people would know me because they are like, yeah, I've heard of you, or I know you, or I follow you. That's like the best compliment you could possibly get. But it also increases your affinity, right? The more people know you, the more likely you are to do business with them, or the same applies even to your dating life, for example, right? The more somebody is familiar, uh, your chances there are way higher. Uh, so yeah, that's how I would put it.
Absolutely, man. That reminded me of the time when I was dating my wife, and
Yeah.
that was way back in 2010. And I remember the reason why she noticed me and she kind of got a bit interested in me is um, because of a bit of content creation that I was doing, and because of I had
There
my
you go.
own page, and one of her friend told her that, oh wow, you know Saurabh Arya, I know him too. So that
Wow.
that really helped. I'm really glad that happened. All right, getting back
Absolutely,
to
man. I mean, I
the
keep, even I proudly tell people that I know sort of, so I can totally
okay,
relate.
thanks. Sorry. So getting back to the content creation, thanks for giving that example, because I think that that's super important for all those who are just getting started. They should know that how content creation leads to credibility, and how
Hmm.
content creation, if it's not giving you direct monetization, it has second degree effect, which is extremely
Absolutely.
important.
Yeah.
Leads to amazing opportunities. All right, let's discuss a bit about you as a maker. I
Hmm.
mean, Kaushal, to be honest, I'm really surprised with how you go on with so many different identities. Uh, like that would be another talk
Dude,
for
we could have a
another
mutual fan
30.
club, man. I feel the same, in terms of what you do, and I'm always awed by, wow, sort of has launched something new, and it's amazing. So, feelings mutual, buddy.
All right. Okay. Welcome to the Mutual Admiration Club. So, but let's for now dig into the you as a maker, and yeah, if you can share a bit about how you became a no coder, how you are using no code to build products, and what are the tools you are using as a no code guy.
If you if you want the most honest answer, I got into no code because I can't code. That really is it. Because if I could code, I would have done what I'm doing uh, maybe 20 years ago. Um, and I'm not saying this is a regret that I have, but the one thing I would love to learn or get good at is coding. So as much as I love the whole no code movement, I think being able to code is a superpower in itself. But because I don't have that superpower, I thought, let me at least try and understand what this no code thing is all about. And last year, I think it was around, we are in September now, right? So it's been over a year. Maybe around April, May is when I discovered, or maybe a little later after that, I discovered Glide, which is a great platform, which is a great no code platform. And I realized how simple and easy it was to just take a spreadsheet and convert that into a full-fledged app, and an app that you don't even have to download. It's a web app. It's a progressive web app which can work on web, which can work on mobile, across any device. And they had beautiful rendering, beautiful, easy, uh, uh, you know, drag and drop or simple, if and then kind of logic. So it was so easy that I literally, and I'm almost saying this as if I work for them or if they're paying me to say this. They are not. I genuinely mean this, that I literally launched the entire app in 2 hours flat. Uh, so I had what I envisioned. I could create that in 2 hours, and it's perhaps the the fastest project that I've ever delivered.
Great. Are you talking about the Worldviews app?
The World Views app, yes, yeah.
Great. Awesome. Great. Also, Kaushal would love to know your thoughts on the future of nomadism. Where do you
hmm
think we are heading towards with nomadism, and what are your top predictions?
Uh, I think nomadism is has gotten a new fillip. I mean, if it wasn't already on a trajectory, it was definitely on an upward trajectory. But now the trajectory has gone from this to this, right? It is basically, and that is the post-COVID effect. I mean, if there is, I mean, COVID has been horrible. It has been menacing for a lot of people. People have lost lives, and there have been horrible things that have happened. But it has also had some positive effects overall on the way we work. Uh, you know, Again, debatable, but if we let the negative aspects of it aside, I think the positive aspects are things which don't get talked about as much as they should, perhaps. And the whole work from home, the whole nomadism uh, concept, which is now emerged uh, as something which is normal, the new normal, is something I don't think you and I would have could have possibly predicted just before the pandemic, right? Like 2 years ago. I mean, imagine how much you and I had to work and tell people that you should be a digital nomad. We've been evangelizing being a digital nomad for over a decade, and people are now doing it as if, yeah, we always knew about this, right? So it's almost like our job is done, but at the same time we were not paid for it. That's how I would put it. uh, and I think the future is only
Exactly. I mean,
brighter,
I
right? The
see that
future.
all the nomads.
Sorry, yeah, go for
Yeah.
it. You
I
feel like all
mean,
the nomads?
the only one point I wanted to make was that, yeah, all the nomads had this "I told you so" moment.
Yes, exactly. And yeah, I just put it as, hey, we did our job and we didn't get paid for it. but uh, but I think the future of this is only gonna get brighter and better. There will be people who will probably realize it's not for them, because digital nomadism is not for everyone. It's not about being. It was never elitist. It was basically about choosing that lifestyle, right? Uh, I know nomads who are. I mean, one of my favorite creators, Nomad Shubham. He's a nomad who comes from a small little village in Bihar, right? It's not about being elitist. If a little kid from a small town in Bihar can nomad around the world, what stops you? And his encouragement, his drive, his motivation was the TED talk. I forget the guy's name. You know the guy who I'm talking about.
Are you talking
The
about
popular TED talk about,
Varun?
not Varun.
Varun Vikesh?
Varun is one of his inspirations, of course,
Oh, okay.
but
Oh, you're talking about Tomislav. Yeah, Thomas.
yes,
Tomislav
yes,
Parkos. Yeah.
absolutely, yeah. So that was his inspiration, and today he's the biggest travel YouTuber, and he's nomading all around the world. So anything is possible, and I think the future is great for Gen Z and beyond. They are just going to be uh, digital natives and digital nomad natives, I would say. For us, we had to evangelize being a digital nomad. They are going to be born digital nomads.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought this up because yes, we should definitely discuss about how when it comes to digital nomadism with the 4 hour work week and vagabonding. Earlier, it was about the privileged white male, but now it
Hmm.
is very much democratized. And
It's completely democratized. Yeah.
now give a example of Nomad Shubham and how
Yes.
his background of coming from a small village in Bihar did not
Hmm.
stop him from embracing this lifestyle. So yeah, thanks for
Absolutely.
bringing that up.
And somebody now, the president calls. The president called him and congratulated him and for being an evangelist or a ambassador of India to the world, which is amazing. Small town boy.
Absolutely. Yeah, that definitely would have inspired millions of
Many
other
more. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
persons,
Yeah. So to answer
in
your question,
India.
the future for nomadism is huge, especially for Indians. We are the Indians are going to be the next big digital nomad wave that's coming.
Great. Also, Kaushal, what's your advice for someone who is looking to transition from 9 to 5 life to a digital nomad lifestyle?
My biggest advice is definitely going to be keep your financial backups in place because it is not easy. I have seen ups and downs. I have gone broke multiple times, and when I'm saying broke, I mean flat broke. And that's not a situation you ever want to be in. It's not a happy situation. It sounds very awesome when you look at it in hindsight, but when you're going through it, it is painful. So my only and only advice is going to be make sure that you have uh, enough money in the bank or enough savings to last you for your experiment. And I'm saying experiment because you have to be ready to accept failure if it doesn't work. And the reason is because one thing that has always driven me in terms of my values is that I believe in two things that are important in life. One is your responsibilities, and second is your priorities. So responsibilities are things that you are given, and priorities are what you set for yourself, right? So if you have responsibilities to take care of, where you need to pay off your EMIs or you have a family to take care of or whatever it is, you can't just dive into the nomad life or say that I will figure out my way on, I will jump off a cliff and figure out a way to fly on the way down. That's not going to happen. Be realistic, be optimistic, but be realistic. So be the optimist realist, is what I would say. Uh, uh, Prepare for the worst and hope for the best. Work for the best, I would say. Yeah.
Great, awesome. Thanks a lot, Kaushal, for sharing that. Many of the aspiring nomads would really appreciate what you just shared, and coming from you means a lot because you have been one of the OG digital nomad. You have been seeing the digital nomad life way before it became the hashtag digital nomad life. So thanks a lot
Yeah,
for
and
sharing
you
that.
know our
And
pains, man. You know our challenges. We had to literally explain to our clients that yes, we will work from Goa, yes, we will work from Brazil. Really, it's not like we are there only for a vacation. So today it has become the norm, but back then it was way more challenging to even explain or get a client buy-in that it is possible to work from anywhere. So I mean, that's just one of the challenges. We had way too many challenges to face. So the next generation, we kind of laid the path for the next set of uh, nomads, to walk on, which is great. But yeah, the journey has been, ups and downs, and it's been challenging for sure, but rewarding.
great, awesome. Yeah, there's so much to talk about when it comes to nomadism and you being the creator and things in common that we have. But we have to, and I'll just keep this episode very short, and we can have something for the next episode as well.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
yeah, thanks a lot for your time. Thanks a lot for sharing all your thoughts. You have been super candid and very modest with whatever you shared, but yeah, I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you taking time and sharing your thoughts.
It's been a pleasure, man, Saurav. I mean, I very few things that would, get me to wake up early in the morning. Uh, and I knew that this session was going to be worth it. So thank you for having me, and all the very best with whatever you're doing. You are doing amazing stuff. You always have my best wishes, and I know I will keep bumping into you in different places, man. And Bangalore for sure.
Thanks. Yeah, looking forward to catch up with you in person.